In an era marked by unprecedented global crises, a new framework for understanding and transforming economic systems is urgently needed. A recent article published in Nature Sustainability outlines 10 foundational principles aimed at reshaping economic thought and policy to address the intertwined challenges of climate change, biodiversity loss, social inequality, and the fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. This comprehensive analysis, conducted by a diverse group of scholars, identifies a path forward that emphasizes holistic well-being for both humans and the planet. The world is currently grappling with what experts are calling a polycrisis, a situation where multiple crises simultaneously exacerbate existing vulnerabilities. As UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres ominously warned, continuing on the current trajectory could lead to collective suicide. The alarming rise in economic, social, and health disparities has set back progress toward the UN's Sustainable Development Goals by decades. Conventional economic frameworks, which prioritize GDP growth and market efficiency, are increasingly viewed as inadequate in the face of these complex challenges. The authors of the article argue that the transformation of economic systems is not merely desirable but essential. They draw on a qualitative content analysis of 238 documents from various sources to distill 10 principles that embody a new economic paradigm. These principles range from recognizing the social-ecological embeddedness of economies to advocating for equity, justice, and participatory governance. Notably, they challenge the long-standing assumption that natural resources can be infinitely substituted and emphasize the need for regenerative design and circular economic practices. Principle 1 highlights the importance of understanding economies as embedded within broader social and ecological systems, urging policymakers to align economic welfare with planetary health. This perspective is reinforced by the second principle, which advocates for interdisciplinary approaches to tackle complex economic issues. The authors stress the necessity of incorporating diverse knowledge systems, including indigenous and local wisdom, to develop more effective economic policies. Another critical tenet is the acknowledgement of the limits to growth, underscoring that economic activities are bound by biophysical realities. This principle challenges the traditional view that economic growth can continue indefinitely without adverse consequences for the environment. The authors advocate for reframing success metrics, moving beyond GDP to include well-being and ecological sustainability in evaluating economic performance. Equity and justice are also central to the proposed framework. The authors contend that economic systems must prioritize social justice and address inequalities that have been exacerbated by recent global events. This principle resonates particularly with feminist and indigenous economic perspectives, which call for more inclusive and equitable economic practices. The political economy dimensions of the proposed principles advocate for a more participatory approach to economic governance. By embedding cooperation and deliberation into economic decision-making, the authors argue societies can create more resilient and adaptable economic systems. This participatory ethos is further reinforced in the ninth principle, which emphasizes the importance of integrating citizen voices into policymaking processes. Lastly, the 10th principle calls for the adoption of post-capitalist and decolonized economic perspectives. This principle seeks to challenge the dominance of traditional capitalist frameworks that have contributed to environmental degradation and social inequities. Instead, it promotes a vision of economic systems that empower marginalized voices and prioritize community well-being. The authors recognize that while these principles offer a roadmap for transformative economic thinking, significant barriers remain. Vested interests and entrenched intellectual paradigms pose formidable challenges to mainstreaming these ideas in policy and practice. However, they argue that the current global crises present a unique opportunity to disrupt conventional economic narratives and catalyze systemic change. As we look to the future, the integration of these 10 principles into economic discourse and policymaking could pave the way for more sustainable and equitable societies. The urgency of the global polycrisis necessitates a re-evaluation of economic frameworks that have long prioritized growth over well-being. By embracing these transformative principles, we can begin to construct a more resilient economic system that not only addresses current challenges but also lays the groundwork for a sustainable future. The authors conclude that without rapid and meaningful integration of these ideas into global and national institutions, humanity risks deepening the crises it faces. In a world increasingly defined by rapid change and uncertainty, the impact of dedicated individuals and communities often shines through the haze of chaos. Recent headlines highlight the remarkable contributions of figures like Dolly Parton and Eric Church, who have been recognized in Time magazine's inaugural philanthropy list for their unwavering commitment to positive change. This acknowledgement not only celebrates their philanthropic efforts but also underscores a broader cultural shift towards collective action in addressing societal challenges. Dolly Parton, a beloved country music icon, has long been celebrated for her charitable endeavors. Over the past 4 decades, her initiatives have transformed countless lives, most notably through the Dollywood Foundation's Imagination Library, which has delivered over 270 million free age-appropriate books to children worldwide. Her philanthropy extends beyond literacy. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Parton's $1 million donation to Vanderbilt University Medical Center helped support the development of the Moderna vaccine. Reflecting on her motivations, Parton stated, "Many people are hurting right now, and I can't stand to see people hurting. These are special people, they're my people." Her recent contributions to flood victims in East Tennessee further solidify her reputation as a compassionate leader in philanthropy. Similarly, Eric Church has made significant strides in using his platform for social good. After the devastating effects of Hurricane Helene, Church co-organized the Concert for Carolina, which raised over $24.5 million for relief efforts. His commitment to rebuilding his community is evident through his nonprofit Chief Cares, which focuses on long-term recovery and support for affected families. There were a bunch of really good charities that were all really good at helping them survive. But there was really nothing that I could identify to rebuild these communities, Church shared, highlighting the need for targeted sustainable aid in times of crisis. Both artists exemplify how celebrity status can be leveraged to generate substantial philanthropic impact. Their recognitions on the Time 100 philanthropy list, which also includes notable figures like Prince William and Oprah Winfrey, are a testament to the power of giving back. Time's CEO Jessica Sibley emphasized the importance of redefining leadership through purpose and inspiring collective action to address pressing global issues. This recognition comes at a pivotal moment, as communities worldwide grapple with challenges ranging from natural disasters to public health crises. The stories of Parton and Church reflect a growing awareness of the need for sustained philanthropic efforts that not only respond to immediate needs but also lay the groundwork for future resilience and recovery. As we look to the future, the influence of these philanthropic leaders serves as a reminder of the potential for meaningful change when individuals come together to support their communities. The ongoing efforts of Parton, Church, and others on the Time 100 list will undoubtedly inspire future generations to engage in acts of service, fostering a culture of giving that can help bridge the gaps faced by many. As the landscape of philanthropy continues to evolve, it is clear that the heart of giving remains rooted in the simple yet profound idea of helping one another. In an unexpected twist of marine biology, researchers have unveiled a striking adaptation among clownfish in response to rising ocean temperatures. A recent study led by graduate researcher Melissa Versteeg at Newcastle University reveals that the anemonefish species Amphiprion percula is shrinking in size during marine heat waves, potentially as a survival mechanism. This groundbreaking discovery, detailed in the journal Science Advances, marks the first documented instance of individual fish shrinking due to environmental stressors as opposed to changes observed at a population level. Versteeg's initial research was not intended to focus on the impacts of heat waves. Instead, she was monitoring breeding pairs of clownfish in Kim Bay, Papua New Guinea, when a heat wave elevated water temperatures by 4 degrees Celsius above average. "We decided to follow them throughout the heat wave," said co-author Teresa Ruger, a marine biologist involved in the study. The routine monitoring process involved measuring the fish's sizes every month while recording temperature changes. To their astonishment, the data indicated that a significant percentage of the clownfish were shrinking. 71% of dominant females and 79% of breeding males experienced size reductions at least once during the study period. The implications of these findings extend beyond mere curiosity. The researchers suggest that shrinking may enhance the clownfish's chances of surviving extreme heat conditions. Notably, those fish that shrank alongside their breeding partners showed a higher likelihood of survival, with some even experiencing growth spurts afterward to regain their size. This adaptability may prove crucial as marine heat waves become more frequent due to climate change. The reasons behind this phenomenon are still under investigation. Clownfish are known for their ability to regulate growth based on their social hierarchy, which allows them to avoid conflict within their anemone homes. However, the necessity to shrink in response to environmental stressors is a new development. One theory posits that as anemones are stunted by heat waves, clownfish may need to adjust their size to fit within their compromised habitats. Additionally, smaller fish may require less food and energy, making them more efficient foragers in challenging conditions. The shrinking trend is not isolated to clownfish. It reflects a broader pattern observed in various animal species adapting to a warming world. From marine iguanas to juvenile salmon, many organisms are responding to changing environmental conditions by reducing their size. Elizabeth Talbot, a marine ecologist who did not participate in the study, noted that such physical changes could indicate resilience, albeit with potential downsides such as reduced reproductive success due to smaller body sizes. As the climate crisis continues to unfold, understanding these adaptive mechanisms becomes increasingly vital. The findings from Verstig's study may serve as a vital piece of the puzzle in comprehending how marine ecosystems will respond to ongoing environmental changes. As Ruger poignantly remarked, we were setting out to study these fish, not necessarily to document their demise. This bittersweet discovery emphasizes the urgency of conservation efforts and the need for continued research into the adaptability of marine life amidst the challenges posed by climate change. The future of clownfish and other marine species hinges on our understanding and response to these evolving dynamics. In a groundbreaking move that could reshape the landscape of both artificial intelligence and consumer technology, OpenAI has announced its acquisition of Johnny Ive's hardware startup IO in a deal valued at $6.5 billion. This strategic partnership marks a significant shift in the dynamics between two of the most influential players in technology. As OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman heralds Ive as the greatest designer in the world, the collaboration is anticipated to produce a new product within a year which may compete directly with the offerings from Apple's design legacy, where I've served as the former head of design. The collaboration between OpenAI and I began quietly in 2023 as discussions about developing innovative devices, including headphones and other gadgets equipped with cameras, came to light. While Ive will not officially join OpenAI's staff, his design firm Lovefrom will assume responsibility for all design aspects of OpenAI, which includes integrating the expertise of approximately 55 engineers and developers from IO into the broader framework of OpenAI's operations. Altman revealed plans to create AI companions that can seamlessly integrate into users' daily lives, suggesting these devices will function alongside existing products like the MacBook Pro and iPhone. This ambition echoes early discussions between OpenAI and SoftBank regarding a $1 billion initiative to craft the iPhone of artificial intelligence, aimed at providing a more intuitive and natural user experience with AI technologies. As the tech industry watches this partnership unfold, Apple finds itself facing significant challenges. In 2025, the company's shares have seen a decline of over 17%, partly due to its sluggish progress in AI development. Apple recently announced a delay in the rollout of its new AI features initially touted for the iPhone 16, pushing the expected availability to 2026. This setback has raised consumer dissatisfaction and led to legal challenges, further complicating Apple's position in the competitive landscape. Ive, who has been vocal about his concerns regarding early AI products, characterized devices like the human AI pin as very poor products. His collaboration with Altman therefore signifies a departure from the status quo as they aim to create devices that foster a deeper connection between users and AI technology. Altman has hinted that their initial offering will not render smartphones obsolete but will represent a new category of device entirely. Moreover, the duo is exploring the possibility of developing new computer systems, with Altman expressing enthusiasm about creating a new generation of AI-powered computers that leverage the design prowess of IVE. This venture positions OpenAI not just as a software powerhouse but as a formidable contender in the hardware arena, challenging existing market leaders like Apple. The implications of this partnership extend beyond product development. It signals a potential pivot in the tech industry, where design and user experience are increasingly prioritized in AI applications. As companies like OpenAI continue to innovate, the market may witness a shift toward more user-centric AI interactions, which could redefine consumer expectations and influence future technological advancements. Looking ahead, the first product from the collaboration between Johnny Ive and OpenAI is expected to debut in 2026. As both companies navigate the complexities of this new partnership, the tech world will be eager to see how their combined expertise in design and artificial intelligence will reshape the future of consumer technology. The outcome of this venture could set new benchmarks for innovation and user experience in an industry that is rapidly evolving. A recent study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition reveals compelling evidence that vitamin D supplements may play a significant role in slowing down biological aging. This research highlights the potential of this essential nutrient, often referred to as the sunshine vitamin, to not only bolster immune function and support bone health but also to affect the aging process at a cellular level. The study tracked nearly 1,000 participants aged 50 and older over 4 years, monitoring their telomere lengths, protective caps at the ends of chromosomes that tend to shorten as we age. Dr. Joanne Manson, co-author of the study and chief of the Division of Preventive Medicine at Brigham and Women's Hospital, emphasized the significance of the findings. The vitamin D group had the amount of telomere shortening that you would expect with about 1 year of aging, suggesting that vitamin D supplementation could effectively eliminate nearly 3 years of cellular aging. This randomized clinical trial is notable for being one of the first large-scale investigations into the impact of vitamin D on biological aging. Participants were divided into 2 groups. One received daily vitamin D supplements of 2,000 IU while the other was given a placebo. The results indicated that those receiving vitamin D experienced slower telomere shortening, pointing to the nutrient's protective effects against cellular aging. Dr. Manson suggests that these findings could have broader implications, as previous research has linked vitamin D supplementation to decreased inflammation, autoimmune diseases, and certain cancers, all of which are associated with aging. Moreover, other studies have highlighted vitamin D's potential benefits for brain health and memory retention. Despite these promising results, Manson cautions against blanket recommendations for vitamin D supplementation solely to combat aging. She notes that while high-risk groups, such as individuals over 75, those with osteoporosis, or those with limited sun exposure, may benefit from supplementation, further research is necessary to fully understand the relationship between vitamin D and aging. For the general population, maintaining adequate vitamin D levels through a balanced diet and outdoor activities is crucial. The recommended daily allowance of vitamin D is 600 IU for individuals aged 1 to 70, increasing to 800 IU for those over 70. While the study found that doses between 1,000 and 2,000 IU can be safe, Manson warns against excessive supplementation, which can lead to toxicity and adverse health effects. She advocates for a lifestyle approach, encouraging individuals to prioritize sun exposure and nutrient-rich foods over high-dose supplements. As the research continues to evolve, the implications of vitamin D on aging and overall health are becoming increasingly compelling. While the current findings suggest a promising avenue for promoting longevity, the medical community remains vigilant, calling for further studies to explore these connections in greater depth. As we look ahead, the potential for vitamin D to become a key player in age-related health discussions may reshape how we approach supplementation and preventive health strategies in the years to come. In a significant shift for U.S. currency, the Treasury Department has announced plans to phase out the penny, a coin that has been in circulation since the early days of the United States Mint in 1792. This move signals a broader re-evaluation of the practicality and cost-effectiveness of maintaining the smallest denomination in the nation's currency system. The decision comes as the manufacturing cost of the penny has risen to approximately 3.7 cents, rendering its production economically unfeasible. The final order for penny blanks has already been placed, and according to Treasury officials, the United States Mint is expected to cease production entirely by early 2026 when the current supply runs out. This change is projected to save the Mint about $56 million annually, a substantial figure that highlights the inefficiencies associated with minting a coin that costs more to produce than its face value. Historically, the penny has drawn scrutiny from various administrations due to its increasing production costs. Former President Trump had previously expressed his discontent with the continued minting of the penny, labeling it wasteful. In a post on his Truth Social platform, he stated, "For far too long the United States has minted pennies which literally cost us more than 2 cents. This is so wasteful." His administration's push to eliminate the penny underscores a growing consensus that the coin's utility no longer justifies its expense. The materials used in the production of the penny have also contributed to its rising costs. While pennies are known for their copper-like appearance, they are primarily composed of zinc, which has seen a significant price increase over the past 2 decades. Data from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis indicates that the cost of zinc per metric ton has more than doubled since 2000, compounding the financial strain of producing the penny. As the discussion around the penny's future continues, it reflects larger conversations about the evolving nature of currency in the digital age. The increasing prevalence of cashless transactions raises questions about the relevance of lower denomination coins in everyday commerce. With consumers increasingly favoring digital payments, the need for physical coins, especially those with diminishing purchasing power, is being called into question. The phase-out of the penny may set a precedent for future discussions about other denominations, particularly as the U.S. economy adapts to a more digital landscape. Observers of the financial sector will be keen to see how this decision influences consumer behavior and whether it prompts further reform in the nation's currency system. In conclusion, as the U.S. Treasury moves forward with its plan to discontinue the penny, it not only aims to achieve financial savings but also reflects a broader trend toward modernization in currency management. The implications of this decision could extend beyond mere dollars and cents, potentially reshaping the way Americans engage with money in a rapidly changing economic environment. Future developments will likely focus on the impact of this change on consumer habits and whether it catalyzes further reforms in the country's currency system. In the realm of public health and epidemiology, the contributions of Mildred Weeks Wells and her husband William Firth Wells stand out as both pioneering and tragically overlooked. Their groundbreaking research into airborne transmission of infectious diseases conducted in the 1930s could have fundamentally transformed responses to various health crises, including those witnessed during the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite their significant findings, the scientific establishment largely ignored their work for decades, a situation that has only recently begun to change. Mildred Weeks Wells, born in 1891 into a prominent Texas family, carved out an extraordinary path in a male-dominated field. After graduating from the University of Texas Medical School in 1915, she initially worked in Washington, D.C. at the Hygienic Laboratory, where she met her future husband William, a trained sanitary engineer. Together they would challenge prevailing views on disease transmission that were largely based on miasma theory, a belief that diseases spread through bad air. Instead, they posited that infectious pathogens could travel through the air over long distances, akin to smoke. In an episode of The Lost Women of Science Conversations, science journalist Carl Zimmer recounts the Wells' collaborative efforts, highlighting Mildred's early work on polio. hired as a polio detective in the late 1920s. She meticulously compiled data to understand how the disease spread. At a time when the consensus dismissed airborne transmission, her findings suggested that these viruses could indeed travel through the air, a theory she later expanded upon with her husband's assistance. Despite their thorough research, the Wellses faced significant resistance. Their 1932 publication on polio, authored entirely by women, was met with patronizing reviews that praised their thoroughness while simultaneously dismissing the significance of their findings. William's later work at Harvard, where he developed air sampling technologies to capture airborne pathogens, initially garnered attention but ultimately fell victim to the same biases that had plagued Mildred's earlier efforts. Their revolutionary ideas about airborne transmission and the use of ultraviolet light for air disinfection were overshadowed by their reputations as difficult outsiders within the scientific community. The culmination of their work came with a crucial experiment in 1934. Where William demonstrated that germs could be captured from the air in a lecture hall filled with students. His use of a sneezing powder to illustrate airborne transmission was a remarkable step forward, yet the scientific community's reaction was muted, with mainstream acceptance remaining elusive. Their struggle for recognition continued throughout their careers. After leaving Harvard amid professional conflicts, the Wellses eventually found refuge at the University of Pennsylvania, where they conducted significant research on airborne infections, including a study that demonstrated the effectiveness of ultraviolet lamps in preventing measles transmission in school settings. Despite their successes, the broader scientific community remained hesitant to embrace the implications of their work. Tragically, both Mildred and William passed away without receiving the recognition they deserved. It was not until the early 2000s, during the SARS outbreak, that researchers began to rediscover the Wellses' contributions. Albeit belatedly. The COVID-19 pandemic ultimately forced a reckoning with airborne transmission, validating many of the Wellses' theories that had long been dismissed. Reflecting on their legacy, Zimmer notes that had the scientific community heeded their warnings about airborne infections sooner, it could have significantly altered public health responses during the pandemic. The lessons learned from the Wellses story highlight the importance of fostering an inclusive scientific discourse that values diverse perspectives and challenges prevailing dogmas. As we move forward, the narrative of Mildred and William Wells serves as a poignant reminder of the need for vigilance in recognizing and supporting groundbreaking research, regardless of the gender or background of the researchers involved. Their work not only advances our understanding of disease transmission but also underscores the continuous evolution of scientific inquiry. Where past missteps can illuminate the path toward more effective public health strategies in the future. In a world increasingly concerned about the interplay between human well-being and environmental health, new studies shed light on pivotal intersections of evolutionary history and contemporary conservation efforts. These findings not only enhance our understanding of our past but also inform strategies to protect our natural heritage and biodiversity amidst pressing ecological challenges. Recent advancements in paleogenetics have brought us closer to understanding the complex tapestry of human evolution. A notable example is the groundbreaking work done by Matthias Meyer and his team on the ancient hominin remains from Cima de los Usos, Spain. This mid-ice age specimen has become a crucial focal point in the narrative of human ancestry. By successfully retrieving and sequencing the mitochondrial DNA from these ancient remains, researchers have confirmed a significant genetic connection between the Cima de los Usos lineage and Denisovans, an enigmatic group of archaic humans. This research exemplifies the ingenuity required to unlock the secrets of our past, remarks Diendo Masolani, the lead author of a recent review in Nature Reviews Genetics. The study not only highlights the technological advancements in ancient DNA retrieval but also underscores the importance of this research in reconstructing the evolutionary pathways that have shaped modern humans. On a different front, contemporary conservation efforts are being informed by rigorous scientific research aimed at balancing ecological preservation with human needs. A recent study published in the journal Ecosystem Services explored the relationship between ecosystem services and avian populations across the United States. Researchers from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and the Wildlife Conservation Society revealed that areas providing essential services such as clean water and carbon storage also serve as vital habitats for declining bird populations. Dr. Rachel Newgarden, the lead author, emphasized the significance of identifying these conservation sweet spots, stating the data show that win-win-wins for biodiversity, climate, and people are possible but not guaranteed. The study found that 75% of forest-dwelling birds benefit from these priority areas, notably including the U.S. cerulean warbler, with 91% of its population residing in regions that support both forestry and carbon storage. This dual benefit is crucial as North American bird populations continue to face alarming declines. As recent reports indicate worsening trends, it becomes imperative to integrate bird conservation with broader environmental protection efforts, noted Amanda Roddiwald, co-author of the study. However, the research also cautions against oversimplifying the relationship between ecosystem services and biodiversity, pointing out that certain species, particularly those in arid or wetland environments, may not receive the same level of support from these areas. The implications of these studies are profound. As humanity stands at a crossroads in its relationship with nature, the findings highlight the need for informed, data-driven strategies that can simultaneously address the conservation of biodiversity and the needs of human populations. Looking ahead, the challenge will be to apply these insights in policy and practice, ensuring that conservation efforts are not just reactive but are proactive in securing a sustainable future for both people and the planet. In a captivating tale of ambition and downfall, the journey of Akasha Song, a self-proclaimed psychedelics kingpin, reveals the complex interplay between the allure of the dark web and the relentless pursuit of consciousness-altering experiences. Akasha's rise to prominence in the underground world of DMT and N-dimethyltryptamine paints a vivid picture of both the potential for personal transformation and the inevitable consequences that accompany such illicit endeavors. The story begins in the Caatinga region of Brazil, where Akasha, an American clad in casual athletic wear, embarks on a road trip with a local named Jose. Their mission: to locate the Jarima predatory, renowned for its high concentrations of DMT. As they traverse the arid landscape, Akasha's excitement builds. But it culminates in a shocking revelation: the forest itself is a treasure trove of Jarima trees, each capable of yielding vast amounts of the psychedelic compound. In that moment, Akasha envisions not only the potential for spiritual healing but also a lucrative opportunity, likening himself to the infamous Pablo Escobar of psychedelics. DMT, often referred to as the businessman's trip due to its brief yet intense effects, has garnered attention for its potential therapeutic benefits. Some studies suggest that it may aid in treating conditions like depression and anxiety, while users report experiencing profound spiritual awakenings. However, Akasha's approach to DMT was purely commercial. Under the alias Shinshai, he established a network of secret labs across the United States, transforming Jarima bark into DMT and selling it on the dark web. His product, packaged with vibrant logos, quickly gained popularity, leading to staggering profits. Despite his initial exhilaration, Akasha's operations were fraught with risk. The dark web, while a haven for illicit activities, is also a double-edged sword. As demand for his product surged, so did scrutiny from law enforcement. Akasha's sense of invincibility, a remnant of his childhood, began to erode as he navigated the precarious landscape of drug dealing. His burgeoning empire faced challenges as market closures and law enforcement crackdowns threatened to dismantle the foundation he had built. The turning point came in July 2017 when the dark web market Alphabi was shut down in a massive law enforcement operation. Akasha's financial lifeline was severed, leading him to scramble for new avenues to maintain his revenue stream. As he transitioned to new markets, his operations expanded, but so did the risks. The stakes grew higher, and the complexities of managing a drug empire quickly became apparent. In the following years, Akasha's lifestyle evolved into one of luxury, but the shadows of his past continued to loom. While living in Lake Tahoe, he reveled in the wealth generated from his operations, but the thrill of the chase was tinged with paranoia. A devastating lab explosion in Colorado served as a stark reminder of the dangers inherent in his line of work. The fire left him contemplating his next steps: retirement or a return to production. Ultimately, Akasha's downfall was a culmination of his reckless choices. A sting operation led to his arrest in 2022, revealing the extent of his operations and the lengths he had gone to evade law enforcement. Charged with conspiracy to possess and distribute a controlled substance, he faced a potential prison sentence of up to 40 years. However, a fortunate turn of events, the decriminalization of certain psychedelics in Colorado, played a significant role in his eventual sentencing. Akasha was ultimately given a reduced sentence of just 24 months. As he reflects on his tumultuous journey, Akasha expresses a sense of gratitude for the experiences that shaped him. His story serves as a cautionary tale illustrating the fine line between exploration and exploitation in the quest for altered states of consciousness. With a newfound perspective, he emphasizes the importance of living authentically and embracing the lessons learned from his past. Looking ahead, Akasha remains optimistic about the future of psychedelics and their potential for healing. His experiences have forever changed his worldview, and as he navigates life post-incarceration, he aims to use his story to promote awareness and understanding of the complexities surrounding psychedelics and their cultural significance. The tale of Akasha Song, once a dark web kingpin, now serves as a reminder of the transformative power of introspection and the potential for redemption in the face of adversity. In a day marked by escalating tensions and significant geopolitical developments, the world is witnessing a series of events that underscore the fragility of international relations and domestic security. The recent shooting of 2 Israeli embassy aides in Washington, D.C. during a public event has sparked outrage and condemnation from multiple governments and organizations. Eyewitnesses reported that the suspect, who was apprehended shortly after the attack, shouted "Free, free Palestine" while in custody, highlighting the complex and often fraught narratives surrounding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed his outrage and has called for heightened security measures for Israeli diplomatic missions. The incident has drawn responses from leaders across Europe, with EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs Kaja Kallas asserting that there is no place in our societies for hatred, extremism, or anti-Semitism. This tragic event comes amid an ongoing humanitarian crisis in Gaza, where the Israeli military has intensified its operations against Hamas. As reported by United Nations sources, while Israel permitted 100 aid trucks to enter Gaza, reports indicate that the supplies have yet to reach those in dire need. The World Health Organization has warned that the health system in Gaza is nearing collapse, exacerbated by severe water shortages and ongoing military operations. Amid these developments, U.S. diplomatic efforts to mediate a ceasefire appear to be underway, with reports indicating that U.S. officials are engaging with Hamas through intermediaries in Doha. However, frustrations are evident as sources suggest that former President Donald Trump is dissatisfied with the pace of negotiations, eager for a resolution to the conflict. In a separate but equally troubling incident, Israeli forces fired warning shots at a delegation of European and Arab diplomats visiting the Jenin refugee camp. This incident has drawn international condemnation, with multiple countries demanding explanations from Israel. The ongoing violence and political disputes in the region highlight the precarious nature of diplomacy in a time of heightened tension. On the domestic front, U.S. lawmakers are intensifying scrutiny over foreign entities, particularly concerning national security. Recently, Senators Marsha Blackburn and John Molinar called for an investigation into Auto Energy, a Chinese electric vehicle charging company operating in North America. This move reflects a broader trend of viewing foreign companies through a national security lens, which critics argue could undermine trade relations and economic cooperation. In a related context, the U.S. has taken steps to reassess its foreign engagement strategies. With discussions around Canada's potential involvement in Trump's Golden Dome defense system and the Pentagon's control over disaster response shifting from the U.S. Agency for International Development to the State Department's Bureau of Population, Refugees and Migration. As these events unfold, it is clear that the interplay between domestic policies and international relations is becoming increasingly complex. The implications of these developments will likely reverberate through diplomatic channels and economic agreements, suggesting a period of instability in both domestic and global contexts. The coming days will be pivotal in determining how these incidents shape the future landscape of international diplomacy and security. In a world where chemistry has largely been defined by the mixing of liquid solvents, a groundbreaking shift is underway, leveraging an ancient technique to reshape modern scientific practices. Mechanochemistry, which involves the grinding and smashing of powders to induce chemical reactions, is emerging as a powerful alternative to traditional wet chemistry. Spearheaded by researchers like Tomislav Frisick at the University of Birmingham, this innovative approach is not just a novel method but a rethinking of how chemical processes can be conducted. Traditionally, chemistry has been dominated by the use of liquids, with bubbling flasks and swirling solutions as the hallmark of laboratory work. However, Frisick's lab is challenging this paradigm, suggesting that the reliance on solvents is more of a mental prison than a necessity. Mechanochemistry gives you the intellectual freedom to think, "Let me just try this reaction by grinding it," he explains. This perspective has led to a series of successful experiments where reactions that would typically require solvents can instead be achieved through mechanical force alone. The implications of this shift are profound. By eliminating the need for solvents, mechanochemistry not only streamlines the production process but also reduces the environmental impact associated with chemical waste. The efficiency of reactions can be significantly enhanced, and the potential for discovering new materials or compounds increases as researchers explore the possibilities of dry reactions. As Frisick notes, in many cases it works, indicating that this approach could open new avenues for innovation in fields ranging from pharmaceuticals to materials science. In a related development, the ingenuity of modern technology continues to push boundaries, as evidenced by the introduction of special contact lenses capable of providing night vision. Developed by a team led by Yuqian Ma at the University of Science and Technology of China, these lenses utilize engineered nanoparticles that absorb infrared radiation and convert it into visible light. Unlike traditional night vision devices, this innovative wearable technology is lightweight and requires no external power source. Peter Rencipes, a researcher from Texas A&M University, highlights the potential applications of these lenses, particularly for military personnel who would benefit from discrete hands-free vision capabilities. However, experts caution that while the contact lenses can transform infrared light into visible colors, they are currently limited to high-intensity light sources and may not provide the detailed vision needed for tasks like reading in the dark. The ongoing advancements in both mechanochemistry and wearable infrared technology reflect a vibrant intersection of traditional science and modern innovation. As researchers continue to explore the boundaries of what is possible, the future looks promising, with the potential for new materials, improved environmental practices, and enhanced human capabilities through technology. These developments not only challenge our current understanding but also pave the way for a new era of scientific discovery, underscoring the need for continued investment in research in these transformative fields.